Hey everybody, and welcome to Stockabilities. I'm going to be covering some hot tickers today, and some gaps and some gap downs from the TradeUI platform, as you can see here through Stocktwits and Wallstreetbets. The ones I'm going to be covering today are Apple, NVDA, and Microsoft. Beyond TVTX, GameStop, Palantir, and LCID. And just some short input in regards to what I think they're going to do in the next couple of days, in the next week or so, and so on and so forth. This is be a quick recap. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'll be doing other videos just like this. But we're going to jump right into it here on what I felt were relatively noticeable sweeps coming into the next days here. These are all short term, so I'm just going to be focusing on that here. As you can see here in the last minutes of the trading day, that Apple had basically taken out a 170 strike, position 58,000 on the ask, so kind of a little bit out of the money there, literally expiring in 2 days. So there's a lot of decay on that and a lot of risk on that too. And then right below that, they took out another put sweep in that regard. But if you notice with Microsoft here, they took out an ITM in the money put strike, which kind of implies that they're closing out the position rather than adding into it and selling out with some profit. So that's something to keep in mind for tomorrow, especially with Microsoft's relatively stable long-term chart and the fact that it's down heavily today, which is pretty unusual for Microsoft. And you can see Microsoft here at 3:47 p.m. They were adding some calls above the ask here, 62,000. You got Apple here, which is a very important one to watch as well. You got a 155 strike expiring literally in 2 days. That's a pretty deep in the money. Now, of course, a lot of options here are expiring for the witching here coming into Friday, so this could just be kind of a settling play there. So I wouldn't necessarily look too much into it, but usually when they're doing the deep in the money calls, they're kind of expecting a relatively big drop. So Apple might have some kind of bad news coming up here in the next days. So something to look out for in that regard. You got NVIDIA here with some kind of a little bit aggressive puts there, but also kind of a mix on the upside as well, and it's also tapping on its basically, I think it was the 50 MA. I'll take a look here at the chart here just a second. So that's kind of more on a bullish side for me. Hop into the next part here. And with game here, you got kind of a mixed sweeps here. Not a lot of information coming into the next week here, but they're next days here, but it's kind of relatively positive in that regard. It is a meme stock. The IV is kind of high though, so you can be being baited when you see sweeps. So just something to keep in mind in that regard. Just some more mixed sweeps with NVIDIA here, but more on the bullish side. Once again, here's one for 285 strike. As you've seen into the end of the day here, I'll show on a chart that it did run up a little bit more. TVTX here, kind of seemingly hedging for a bearish downside. Slightly out of the money and 52,000 position, kind of midday there, so we might see some more downturn into tomorrow and the next days. Up into the next page here. Going a little bit earlier into the day here, Apple still has even more aggressive put sweeps that are likely to play out here into the next day's week with 170 strike and even going as low as 160. That could be just someone very hopeful. I don't know if we're going to see that low of a drop. And of course, we see some sweeps here for some of the rise that we've experienced. So something to keep in mind even more just going throughout the day here. Kind of bearish, bearish, bearish. LCID getting kind of mixed sweeps here, sort of more on the bearish side than the bullish. Going to go into the next page here, and then I'm going to show some charts, and that's going to be the wrap up to this video. LCID here, kind of a mixed hedge, sort of more on the bullish side than bearish, but being as this was at 10:30 in the morning, it's likely already played out in that facet. You have Apple, a lot of mixed hedges here, kind of some closeouts before it started popping up back a little bit. And then, of course, you got the kind of flatlining here, closeouts, likely iron condors or something like that. Going to the next page here. Similar case here. Apple's just basically was prepping for a little bit of a pull down on its ticker. You got NVIDIA here with 270s. They sort of played out that in the morning, so these were likely closeouts when the market was opening because it had a pretty low open, then it had a bounce, then it kind of went down a little bit, and then kind of bounced back up towards the end of the day. So I wouldn't be too bearish on that, considering this is at 9:50 in the morning. But we're going to hop into the charts here because I kind of covered most of these tickers from just the options flow through the Trade UI platform. As you can see here with Microsoft, you've had quite a big drop throughout the day here. Then it kind of pulled itself back up. And then as I mentioned earlier with the sweeps, they're looking relatively positive. And with the setup here, it's kind of iffy, but knowing Microsoft's history, and knowing that this is kind of like a almost a double bottom on the monthly, it's looking pretty good here. We might see a little bit of more of a downturn into the next day, but I can see more of an upturn into the longer term if you look at the yearly and the 5 year and the historical chain of just going up. Very little downside volatility. And here with Apple, we had quite a lot of bearish sweeps here. We might see a little bit of an uptick into tomorrow, but to kind of wrap up its more larger term bull flag or bear flag here, if you go from this point of view here from the Tuesday in here, and then a little bit of a downturn, but if you go from all the way up here on Monday, it's a much bigger bear flag. One might argue it's a bull flag, but it kind of fizzled out here when it started going up and up and up like this. It sort of was looking promising here, and then it kind of declined. I think we're going to see a little bit more of a decline, especially since Apple is one of those tickers that has been up more than a lot of the other ones in regards to its average trend. It had its little breakout here after consolidating for quite a while. So it might be starting to fizzle out again and kind of fade back down. I don't know how low we're going to go, but I don't think we're going to see that 160 strike. You got NVIDIA here that was bouncing. I think it was off its 50 MA. So this is looking pretty positive for a breakout potentially here. You got the sort of the monthly bull flag set up here. You got the decline that played out to finish a bear flag, but then in the longer term time frame, it's looking like a bull flag. And on the yearly and year to date, we could see maybe some more decline, but it's a pretty safe bet to start considering playing it here. This is kind of a little bit below its monthly bottom here, but I'm more positive on it than some of the other tickers on the market now. Beyond Mean, it's kind of mixed, but if you look at it from a monthly standpoint, it could be a bull flag breaking out here. And we'll see how it goes, but it's kind of been on a downtrend for many, many months, so I'm not too hopeful on that regard. I guess we'll see. But yeah, basically since June of this year, it's been breaking down. It broke way below its May low, so we might see even more of a decline on that. LCID had some pretty bearish news of some subpoenas and some other stuff. It might be kind of bouncing and breaking out, but it's more set up on the weekly for a bearish breakdown and a bear flag. You got the kind of the trending up pretend wedge here, and then it's going to crash below. We might see literally below 35 here in the next week or two. Got Travere Therapeutics. Kind of was a little bit of a hot ticker, and then it kind of faded throughout the day, and it's kind of been on a decline here for quite a little bit here. One can argue that this is kind of a bullish setup, but there wasn't really a big enough uptick into November and so on to identify it as such. But if it was to get some kind of good news, it could be a relatively large bull flag setting up for a breakout, so something to consider. I think that's about all I wanted to cover in this video. If you have any input about what I said, feel free to share it in the comments below. Check out some of the unusual flow if you'd like, as well for some other ideas of plays and different types of sweep setups. So there's a lot of opportunities to find here in the market. You just have to know where to look, whether just following popular trending tickers or what have you. But I think that's about all I'm going to cover in this video, guys. So I hope it's been very informative. And once again, if you like this video, feel free to like it and subscribe to the channel. And if you want more videos like this, just let me know. You all have a great day.